Hi everybody, it's Joe Cioffi on this Thursday night, the 19th of April, 2018, as the month rolls along. It's coming up on 10 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. Had something I had to take care of, and that's why we had the late start. So good evening to everybody. Anthony Orr pointing out that snow showers are still flying around the area, and this is all definitely getting very long in the tooth. I agree. Delvin is on, so is Max G. Jay DeCat, who had to wait patiently. And I just want to give a special hello to Israel de Frudiger. Glad you're back on and able to chat. And David Schwartz, Iron Mind is here, Dio, Nan Kumar, everybody. It's the usual gang, Jason Schaefer. So, not too much is happening with regards to the overall scheme of weather. We don't have a whole lot of severe weather to worry about until we get maybe to the weekend across parts of the South. But much of the nation is really on the quiet side. Really the big, I guess the big thing, relatively speaking, is the cold that is in the Northeast and into the northern mid-Atlantic states. As another low today off the coast brought some rain and some mixed precipitation to parts of my area, in some places getting sleet, mistakenly called hail, but it was sleet. And yeah, maybe some snowflakes flying around. And through upstate New York, there's actually is quite a bit. If we look at the radar, we'll bring up the Northeast Regional Radar for you and show you what's left of the precipitation that we had today, which was again on the light side, is all out to the east. But the lake effect machine is working in upstate New York, so you're getting snow showers, and not all of it is snow showers. In some places it's actually mixed with some rain and some sleet too, coming in off of Lake Ontario and dropping southeastward. Some of that snow is actually making it into the Catskills. I had a few people tell me on my Facebook page that they actually saw some accumulating snow in parts of the Catskills today out of this. So it's amazing that we are almost 2/3 of the month through of the month of April, and we're still having to deal with this, I guess what I would call nonsense. And when we take a look, as I said, the weather fairly quiet across the country. The biggest warnings that are up are actually not precipitation related, but due to either the cold, where we have freeze watches and freeze warnings up as the growing season continues to attempt to get underway across the lower Ohio Valley and into the mid-Atlantic states. Out in the Southwest, we have the red flag conditions that extend from parts of Southwest Texas and much of New Mexico back through Arizona and in through Colorado, and various high wind warnings and advisories and high wind watches up there too. But there are no winter weather advisories up anywhere, and that's pretty cool. So we're making some progress, at least from that respect. Hoping that this is all said and done with regards to the precipitation, because I think, you know, and the cold, but it is not, as far as getting normal temperatures are concerned here in the Northeast, that is not going to be the case this weekend, but at least it's going to be dry. Thanks, Nick Cortez, for hitting Super Chat tonight. Really appreciate it. Nick brought up a couple of questions I just want maybe I could address very quickly, and that is, you know, cool springs do not necessarily lead to cool summers. Patterns can flip on a dime, as we've seen happen many times this winter in all sorts of directions. So it's entirely possible that we could continue to have this cold spring pattern into May, and then at some point a switch will be flipped, and perhaps the pattern will flip, and we'll wind up getting into a blast furnace. There's no way to know these things ahead of time, for sure. I am not a long-range guy. I never really have been. I've said that many times here. For those of you who are new, I have a real difficult time getting my head around the long range. So I just kind of stay short-range focused, and maybe on my view of the long range is when we go out 7 to 15 days and take a look at the overall pattern. And that's really about as far as I would like to take it. On the surface map tonight, you can see the coastal low is now moving away southeast of Cape Cod, southwest of Nova Scotia. Cloudiness still lingers back into the eastern part of the United States, but we've got this big high, this big cold high that has settled down into northern Minnesota. And today is Thursday. This high is going to take the next 4 days to slowly make its way into the east. So at least we're going to see sunshine in my neck of the woods with nothing but just patchy clouds from time to time over the next 4 days. And that will at least take some of the sting out of the air, but it's going to take us getting maybe to Sunday. Maybe temperatures could make their way up towards 60 at that point, but that is still below average. We should be up around 64, 65 for a high. Out in the west, we've got low pressure in southern Iowa. That is the next weather system that is coming eastward. And because of the fact that this big high is going to take forever to get out of the way, that low is going to take about 4 days to cross the southern states and then eventually turn up the east coast along about Tuesday. So we're probably going to eventually get some rain out of this here, but it's going to take a good 4 days for it to cross over. When it crosses over the Gulf states, there probably will be some severe weather to deal with as we go through the weekend and into Monday, but I don't see it necessarily being a widespread severe weather producer. There will be some, the Storm Prediction Center indicating only marginal risk in its longer term forecast, so it's not going to be the most impressive system in the world. So why don't we take a look at where the models are taking us over the next few days. They're all pretty much in agreement with things going into the next 5 to 7 days. The models are also getting a little, getting closer in terms of the timing of the next weather system, which again is not going to be for the east anyway, and for the northeast not until later Tuesday night and Wednesday, which is good for me because I'm going to be fishing and I want the weather to be nice. If it can't be warm, at least if the sun's out and I can get to 60, it could get to 60 outside, it'll be comfortable. But here's the surface map tonight. The action in the east, a little bit of activity back through Nevada and parts of California and Idaho, but nothing that's causing any huge issues. And going forward, look at this high. It really doesn't go very far. And we're still getting this cool flow. Our air is coming down from southeastern Canada. Now here's the system moving across the south, the one that comes out of the Rockies here. It may actually bring some rain to dry areas in western Texas and in western Oklahoma, and perhaps even a couple of thunderstorms, some snows in parts of western Colorado. Gradually that rain spreads eastward, so we'll start to probably get into the severe weather threat, maybe the chance for some severe weather, a marginal risk anyway, for Saturday night in East Texas and western Louisiana. And then maybe on Sunday there might be a bit more in the way of thunderstorm activity across Mississippi and Alabama. But you can see how this eye is just sort of cradling that surface low to the southeast and just keeping it very, very slow moving. And then as we move into Monday, we start to see this rain trying to spread slowly up the East Coast. By Tuesday morning, it's into Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware, but not quite to me. And even as we get into, it's really Tuesday night, low pressure starts to move up along the coast, just inland of the coast, so it brings some rain and a southeast or an east-southeast flow off the ocean, and that lasts into Wednesday. And then that low kind of gets stuck there and just spins around a little bit. So if that's correct, and I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be, we're going to probably see clouds and some rain showers lingering for an extra day or so before weather conditions improve for next weekend. And now we're coming into the very end of the month, and no real big storms are being indicated by the models as we finish off April and start May. Looks like some kind of a low runs up into the northern plains, That is all rain, by the way, at this point. So maybe, just maybe, this might be the last hurrah for snow. You got to remember, folks, too, the calendar, in spite of the fact that temperatures are below normal, we are also have the calendar working in our favor. So the normals are going up, but in some, at least by me, a degree every 3 days or so. And that is significant in a 2-week period when your normal temperature is going to go up by 5 degrees. You can still be 5 degrees below normal, but instead of being, say, at 65, you're at 60, whereas, I mean, right now, let's say we should be at about 63, 64, so we're going to be in the upper 50s, 5 degrees below normal, but you go 2 or 2.5 weeks out in time, now your normal high is 70, so you're going to wind up at 65. So you're going to see your temperatures rise, even though they're still going to be subnormal. And again, through the long range, really don't see anything that suggests that there's going to be a prolonged warm-up coming. There's too much going on still in the atmosphere that needs to be resolved a little bit as far as the upper air pattern is concerned. And I'll show you what we've got here. Here's where we are at this point with a trough here in the east. You've got a blocky signature that extends from northeastern Canada on up through Greenland. That is going to be breaking down, by the way, and weather systems are going to start to move. But you can see the upper low that's sitting south of Greenland and that trough that extends down into Virginia. That really keeps the southern part of the jet stream suppressed for a while until it pulls out. And then once it pulls out, then that low is going to be able to lift up. There's energy that's going to come down in the northern jet. You can see the indentation in the jet stream in Canada approaching the Dakotas and through Minnesota. That basically acts as a lever or a lever, I'm sorry, to lift that trough up. And there's residual troughing in the east at the end of next week. So we got to kind of wait for that to pull away. Some signs maybe of a ridge coming later in the period, but you still have weather systems that are going to be attempting to move along in the flow. And late in the period, kind of starts to look a little blocky again. Now, we'll see if that's the case. I don't know that that's true or not, but we'll just have to wait and see on that. Over to our friends in Europe who have been enjoying some rather nice weather and warmer weather, and you can thank this big upper high that is sitting over Western Europe. That is responsible for all this, and that upper high starts to weaken some, and you begin to see troughs coming in off the Atlantic across England and into northern Europe and eventually into Russia. So you're going to have the nice weather for a little while, and then it looks like things might deteriorate a bit going through time. So there's that big upper high, as we said, in building and staying very strong for another couple of days. As far as precipitation is concerned, you can see how little there is of it going on across much of Europe and England and Ireland. You see the Atlantic lows south of Greenland and Iceland, so occasionally you do get little arms of showers coming through. There's one approaching Saturday afternoon into the British Isles, and then that eventually sweeps into northern Europe with some rain that moves eastward, and then another wave comes in as we go to Monday and Tuesday of next week, and then some more showers later on in the week. And there's a low that comes in at the end of next week into Ireland and England with perhaps more of a substantial rain event here. That's actually a pretty wound up system that gets into the North Sea and just sits around for a few days. We'll have to see whether models concur with that as we go into, when we get to that point in time. So, you know, it's not, like I said, there's not too much happening here, so we can come back to the full screen of me, and I'll take a look at what you guys have been saying up until this point. Just give me 1 second here. Israel, with the low moving so slow down south for the middle of next week, does that mean it will chug up the East Coast? It is going to turn up the East Coast as the trough that's keeping it to the south. That's what we're dealing with now. holds on for the weekend to keep the weather nice, and then eventually it does pull out, and that allows for some room in the jet stream to come down and kind of try to lift it up, as I showed you in that upper air. And tornado season, Iron Mine, yes, quiet, very quiet. In fact, I did see someone from Oklahoma, a meteorologist in Oklahoma, post that they haven't seen a tornado in his neck of the woods yet this season, and this is the longest period of time that they've gone through severe weather season without seeing at least one major severe weather outbreak causing tornadoes where he is. And I believe he was in Oklahoma City. I'm not 100% sure that's where he was where he was referencing, but certainly the amount of severe weather that's been going on has not been especially meaningful. And I think if you look statistically, severe weather across the South has been on a decrease overall over the last decade or so. Ryan Ford with that low forming off the coast, is there any chance that the storm become tropical? Ryan, you're in the middle of April, okay? So not the middle of June or July. So the answer is no, that it's not going to do that. Israel back with, I saw a map of total snowfall for Philadelphia and central southern New Jersey. I believe the northern half of Ocean County was like 46 to 52. Yeah, look, everybody pretty much from Virginia northward experienced an above normal snowfall winter, and in many areas, especially from central New Jersey, interior central New Jersey, and eastern Pennsylvania northward, experienced a much above normal winter when it comes to snowfall. So for snow lovers, this was a pretty good winter. You can't really complain too much from that respect. And Mike Bologna, yeah, 55 is sunny is a whole lot better than 40s with low clouds and drizzle. I will agree with you 100% on that. And we are going to get that sun, so don't worry about it. We've got 4 days of pretty decent weather going forward, which is a good thing. And yes, one of the upsides, Jason Schaefer, is the fact that we aren't seeing bugs out yet, which is a good thing, for sure. Not a huge fan. Let's see. Just want to make sure I got all your comments here. Yeah, it looks like okay. So I got everybody, and again, I appreciate the kind words that many of you have expressed, if not today, at other times. And I'm fishing for trout, William Huber, going up on Sunday to northern Connecticut with my buddies, and I'll be there until at least Tuesday night. I'll be doing some live streams from there, so we'll leave it. Keep your fingers crossed on that. Are you taping?
Hello.
Hi. On YouTube at the moment. Have you ever experienced a summer with many rainy days and little sunshine and cooler temperatures? Asks Delvin 4519. Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to recall. I don't have good recall anymore, Joe. Do you?
Excuse me?
Do you recall? We've summers where we've had days where we get a lot of showers, and as a result, the temperatures wind up being cooler as a whole for an entire summer.
The only one that comes to mind is the summer of '70. That was the same summer we had that hot Easter.
Right, the summer of '76, because yeah, we had the highest temperature for the season was on Easter Sunday.
Or in April,
and we never got it. I don't think we ever made higher than low 90s throughout that summer. And then the winter that followed was that brutal cold from November to the end of January, beginning of February, in January '77.
Do you want me to? I'll tell Ivan to.
Oh no, if you got to record, I got to go. So don't worry.
I don't have to record it. Just they're having a presser right now, so you figured you'd get the 3 out of the way here.
Oh, okay. Why doesn't the area of tropical?
No, he's doing his YouTube.
Yeah, all right. I know. We'll put an end to it. Okay, folks, I got to run because Joe Rayo's got stuff to do. We're on the Joe and Joe show at 9:15, so if you'd like, join us over there. We can continue the conversation. Otherwise, have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.